What's up, guys? Eric Perry, Focus Fishing Guide Service, Table Rock Fishing Intel. Got another video fishing report for you for Table Rock. It is Tuesday, April the 19th. Missed a couple days because of weather last week, but been on the water pretty much every day I could be. Bites changing, bites different. Did a little crappie fishing today. It was a little disappointing. But fish are definitely on the move, starting to see fish on beds. Nobody's really locked on yet. I mean, I guess occasionally I'll see one that's really locked on, make a couple pitches at it, but they're not, I wouldn't say the backs of the creeks are full of beds yet, but it's getting real close. Probably by this weekend, unless we get some more stupid weather, I would fully expect them to be on beds by the weekend. As far as our lake level is concerned, we are at 916.64, foot and a half high. Core's running the heck out of the lake. They got generators running, they got gates open on beaver, they're running on bull. They're trying to get us back down to 915 and trying to get beaver down. Beaver's high right now too, so they're trying to take care of all that. Water temperature, this latest little cold snap, and it was 31 degrees when I got to the lake this morning. This latest little cold snap has knocked things back a little bit. Got on the water, it was 54, just got off the water at noon, and it was about 55 and a half, 56. So the water has cooled down. Hopefully we get a warm rain coming tomorrow. It's supposed to be 60 degrees and raining. That will certainly bring the surface temperature up. And hopefully we're not going to get any more of these stupid cold fronts coming through. But like I said, things are changing. There are fish starting to make beds, a lot of empty beds that have been vacated, but I'm sure those fish will move back up. But best way to stay on top of it, best way to know before you go, become a pro member, Table Rock Fishing Intel, and get those daily reports, weekly reports, all the video content that we're doing. It will only help you be a better fisherman on Table Rock Lake and catch more fish on Table Rock Lake. But if you're coming down, say you're going to fish the lower end of the lake, a couple of different bites going on. The lower end, really, the lower end is one of the few areas that doesn't have a lot of moss right now. I'm sure it is on its way. Haven't been down there in about 4 days, but the last time I was down there, if you wanted to drag on the bottom, you certainly could. Best bite all over the lake, but on the lower end especially, has been a swim bait, has been the little 2.8. I would expect that water to warm up and fish to start moving back into the creeks, so you could probably start looking at sight fishing by the weekend. But Kitech 2.8 on a 1/4 ounce jewel swim bait head has been my number one as far as catching numbers of fish and catching a few better ones. Still catching some better fish on a jerk bait. Spromix stick's been good, especially if you got a little wind, a little cloud cover. And then either a jewel gem blade or a jackhammer chatterbait has been good. With the water being up a little bit, you do have some bushes in the water, especially early and late, or if you got a cloudy, windy day. Those staging fish are starting to move up and kind of move around those bushes. They're not necessarily in the bushes, but they're kind of on the edge of those bushes, so keep that in mind as well. Going the mid-lake area, mid-lake's got moss. I got nothing else to tell you there, guys, so dragging is kind of not a thing. The nice thing about the moss, though, it does make it a heck of a lot easier to see these beds. So definitely got some moss in the mid-lake area. Swim bait is still probably your best bet if you just want to go out and catch some fish. Kitech 2.8 on a 1/4 ounce head has been best. Position the boat about 20 to 25. Flat gravel points, a little bit of wind on it. Let it sink down about a 10 count and just reel her in. That's been our best deal down there. Catch a few on a floating worm around some of the bushes as well, especially with these fish moving up and cruising. I think that bite's going to get really good here over the next couple of weeks. Orange has been a good color. Methylate's always a good color. So floating worm is definitely something to keep in your arsenal if you're fishing this weekend. Have not caught any on a fluke, but I wouldn't be surprised to catch them on a fluke. And then, you know, a jerk bait. The big fish bait right now has been a jerk bait. A few guys are still throwing A-rig, but I don't think they're having a lot of success. But a Spromix stick, Ghost Table Rock Shad's been a really good color. PM Twilight's been a good color. And then just clear chartreuse. All those have been good colors to target these fish that are kind of suspended, hanging around docks, getting ready to move up and spawn, those bigger females. You can still throw a jig around, you're just gonna have to keep it deeper than 10 foot deep. So moss line seems to be from about 2 to 3 foot out to about 10 foot deep, and it is getting very thick, so keep that in mind as well. Up the James, was up the James last week. There's kind of a line of, at least last week when I was up there was a line of demarcation, I'd say right around Piney. is where the water really turns and gets dirty. I mean, it's stained all the way down to ants, but it gets really dirty, and you've got some floating debris around Piney. It's probably a little further down now, probably even closer to point 12, but definite baits to have tied on up there. Jewel gem blade, throwing it around those flooded bushes, flooded timber. You're definitely going to want to have a chatterbait. I prefer the jackhammer around those flooded bushes. Swim bait as well. Back off of those points. If you need 1 or 2 keepers, if you're fishing a derb, 1 or 2 keepers, you can catch them on a swim bait right now for sure, all over the lake. And then a floating worm. I definitely have a floating worm, and whatever you want to throw on a bed. I mean, I'm a big finesse worm guy on a shaky head for beds, but whatever you like to throw, tube or whatever it is, tossing it on the beds, because I'm sure those fish have moved up there. The stained water is going to make it a little bit harder to find them or see them, but you definitely are going to have some bedding fish up there as well. White River, where I am today, fished the White River quite a bit last week. As far as debris, watercolor, there's a pretty good stain. It's not bad, but a pretty good stain up around Shell Knob, and you go around the corner and go up into the Kings. Kings was a mess last week. I have not been up there since Thursday of last week, but it was a lot of debris, and it was chocolate milk colored, so I don't know if that's cleared out or not. With them dropping the water level and the amount of water they're pulling, it would not surprise me to see some of that clear out. Probably make the Shell Knob area a little bit more stained, but you definitely, baits you want to have tied on, you want to have a swim bait tied on. Everything we caught last Saturday was on a swim bait. We had over 30 fish, several keepers, basically fishing flat gravel points, keeping the boat 20 to 25, casting, counting down to 10, reeling it in. A lot of fish eating a swim bait right now. The moss is bad. I don't think I saw a single area of the white where I was at that I didn't have a moss problem, so really dragging was not an option. When I was up there last week, I only saw a handful of beds, but I'm sure there's a lot more now. So if you're a sight fisherman, the water is definitely clear from Big Creek down, so you can certainly sight fish. I mean, I'm at Baxter right now, and even from here, I can see about 6 or 8 feet deep in the water by the marina. So you've got some very clear water. You're going to have fish on beds up there. And then when you get in that stained water, you get a wind, little cloud cover, a jewel gem blade, jackhammer. Either of those along those bush lines. I did a trip last week where we caught a bunch of spots, and I really wanted to go catch some largemouth, so I just went and threw a jackhammer in one pocket. I fished one pocket for about 40 minutes. I had 9 largemouth with 3 keepers, and they were in less than 5 foot of water. Just a little bit of stain, a little bit of wind, and those fish were right up against the bushes. So keep that in mind as well if you're going up the White River. Guys, we're over halfway through April. Water's still cold. We're still 2 weeks behind. The fish are just now starting to make it to beds. I think they just biologically can't wait any longer. I think this weekend's, the next probably 2 to 3 weeks, there'll be a huge sight fishing bite. So if you got any derbs coming up and you like to sight fish, or if you just want to come down and go sight fishing, now's the time to come down, because I think there's going to be a lot of better fish caught off of beds here over the next couple of weeks. I've seen a lot of fish shallow. I've seen some cruisers. So, and I've seen some beds, and I've seen some fish that are not wholly locked on, but they're pretty close to being locked on. So keep that in mind if you're coming up. The best way to stay on top of that, know what's going on, join Table Rock Fishing Intel, become a pro member, get those daily, weekly reports, all that information. Know before you go, as we like to say. But if you're coming down, want to hire a guide, give me a call. It's Focus Fishing Guide Service. You can reach me at 417-860-4743, or hit my website, focusfishing.com, and either shoot me an email or book online. Either way, I get back to you as soon as I can. Guys, thanks for watching the videos. If you got a minute, check out Table Rock Fishing Intel. But thanks for watching. Can't wait to hear from you. We'll see you on the water.